All right. Who's the wise ass that decided to put Bears football in prime time? Who's the jacophosaur that made us have to wait another day to get the misery that inevitably will happen from Bears football this week? Who's the jackass that didn't flex this game out of prime time? Who thought putting and then keeping Bears football in prime time was a good idea? I don't know. At least there's going to be another Monday night game running pretty much at the same time to distract people, give them another option until you realize it's the Falcons against the Raiders. Oh, God. And seriously, can anybody answer that question for me? Why the NFL would put a Monday night game on ABC and a Monday night game on ESPN? I understand part of that is you're trying to saturate the marketplace a little bit and trying to get two ratings winners for the night. But meanwhile, you're just kind of dividing your own audience in a way. You might get a little bit of a bigger bump overall, but it's not very much. And is it really worth it? I don't know. Maybe you'd stagger out the start times a little bit. I don't fucking know. Like, I certainly wouldn't object to a 7 o'clock Eastern start time for Bears football. This is bad enough I'm going to have to watch it in prime time. It's even worse. I'm going to have to stay up till like 11:30 or midnight to finish my suffering and then come on here and ultimately do a ranting, raving video about it. Oh, my God. All right, here we are, folks. 4 weeks to the end of the regular season, where you're now at the point of draft season, baby! Is there still time to tank? Kind of, sort of. And there's no reason to rock the boat at this point if that's the camp that you're in, because they're doing a whiz-bang job of it. Especially if you look at last week. You know, Matt Eberflus, worst head coach in Chicago Bears history. Fact. Week 1 of the Thomas Brown experiment let us know all we needed to know. The experiment is over. He has no business being in the conversation as the Bears' next head coach, and that's fine. Like, that's why you do this. You want to see, give a live demo, and you saw, as the Bears got obliterated by the 49ers, 38-13, and frankly, shit wasn't even that close, you now got your answer. No need to sit there and con yourself into thinking anything else. No reason to lie to yourself and say, oh, maybe he could be and the Bears can go against the grain. No, they don't need to go against the grain. They need to go hire a great offensive mind to be their next head coach. That's what it is. Oh, you gotta build culture. Competence, capability, that's what builds fucking culture. It's not fucking attitude. That's stupid. Anyways, here we are though. The Chicago Bears, after starting off 4-2, coming off of a bye, now have lost 7 games in a row and see no reason that you should believe realistically that they win another game this year. And what did you know, since we're talking about the Bears, it's another season, another reason to know that their offense was going to suck because of Bears football! 30th in the league in passing yards a game, 32nd in total offensive yards a game. We know what that's called. I've said it several times. Bears football. But the defense is starting to do their part to suck too. Like, kudos to them. Don't let the offense, be alone in this journey. The defense 24th in total yards allowed. Laid a couple stinkers out there recently against the Vikings, and then obviously last Sunday against a pretty depleted 49ers team. Like, they never had a shot. Like, it was unbelievable, man. But here we are, and somehow this Bears team still has a primetime game. And if I'm not mistaken, in a couple of weeks, they got another one on Thursday night against the freaking Seahawks. Right after Christmas. Stick that in your stocking and smoke it, fucking A. Meanwhile, then you got the Minnesota Vikings. And Minnesota, what happens with them is it shows what happens when you have a great head coach, somebody knows what the hell they're doing on the offensive side of the ball like Kevin O'Connell. They're 11-2 with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. They're only 1 game behind the Lions in the NFC North. They still have technically an outside shot of being the top seed in the NFC. That's the difference, right? That has to be the difference. They're coming off of an absolute drubbing of Kirk Cousins in his revenge game against the Falcons last Sunday, beating them 42-21 to make Cousins look terrible in the process. You look at this roster, they've got Justin Jefferson, who it feels inevitably will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, Jordan Addison, last year's first round pick, making some big plays happen in the passing game as well. Aaron Jones came in the offseason. He's provided just what they needed in the backfield. And they've got a defense under coordinator Brian Flores that gets a lot of pressure and sacks, and they're hard to run against. But on the flip side, they cannot give up themselves some big plays in the passing game. We saw this play out a couple weeks ago when the Bears were able to come back from 11 down late and force the game into overtime. So kind of a feast or famine defensive approach sometimes. But if you can protect, you can get after this Vikings defense. And, like I said, the Bears did that a couple of weeks ago, right? The betting odds for this one, understandable, but also a bit courageous. It's an appropriate reaction to how bad the Bears got shellacked against a depleted, not very good 49ers team last Sunday. But it also seems to be ignoring the fact that these teams just played a couple of weeks ago, and the Bears forced this one to overtime. Now, before that happened, you could say, well, the Vikings were up by double digits, and it was very late in the game. That's true. It's also a little courageous to only have the over-under at 43.5. But I think what you're seeing the sportsbook and Vegas money account for is a couple of things. Bears football! Bears football in prime time! And that makes sense. Now, in terms of injury reports, I haven't bothered looking. Does it really make a fucking difference at this point who plays or doesn't play for the Bears? Because you look at last Sunday's effort, and most of the guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, even if they were healthy, they didn't show up anyways. Looking at you, Jalen Johnson. Keys to victory, though, for the Bears. Maybe you trick the Vikings into thinking it's a playoff game and you hope they choke. That's certainly a worthwhile strategy. Maybe you convince the Vikings yesterday, to hire Matt Eberflus as a defensive consultant and let him worm his way in there a little bit. Because give him enough time and he'll fuck shit up. That's one way to do it. Kill him from within, right? And then when in doubt, go after ACLs. I'm not sitting there and encouraging that they go out and intentionally injure the Vikings. So calm your purple panties down, Skull Nation. I'm just saying, it would be a key to the victory for the Bears. They would have to go after some ACLs. I'm just saying. For the Vikings, their keys to victory: show up. Just remember you have a game on Monday night and know that it's at home. And remember to show up at the right time. Don't turn over the ball. All my jokes aside here, one way to help the Bears stay in a game that they have no business being in is to turn the ball over. Sam Darnold can have some moments where he can put the ball at risk a little bit. Got to avoid that here against the Bears. If you do that, you'll be fine. And then the learnings from a couple of weeks ago, you get up on the Bears early, that's great, but you got to keep the pressure on them. You got to put them out of their fucking misery and make it no doubt about it. That's what the 49ers did. They kept being aggressive. They kept attacking last Sunday. And that's what the Vikings will need to do on Monday night if they want to come away with the victory. Because even bad teams like the Bears right now, poorly coached teams like the Bears right now, you give them more opportunities, you give them free chances, eventually even they will stumble fuck into a way of doing it. Although maybe they won't, because the Bears football runs pretty high with them right now. What's my prediction here? What the fuck do you think? The Vikings are going to win this one by double digits. It's like Vikings 33, Bears 20. I have no reason to believe the Bears defense is going to show up at all. I have no reason to believe that the Vikings are just going to have their way with them in some respects. Hopefully it's a big performance statistically for Caleb Williams in primetime. That would be nice. Certainly would love to see them force more targets to Rome Odunze. You spend a 9th overall pick on him. Time to establish him as the top guy in your offense. Because he is. So stop pretending like he's not. If that comes at the expense of a few Keenan Allen and DJ Moore targets, so fucking be it. Get Rome the ball. But yeah. Fully expect this is going to be a miserable night of football come Monday. Why wouldn't it be? It's the Chicago Bears playing in prime time. What do you think is going to happen?